Welcome back to Tydirium Hangar. Happy Friday, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well this weekend. This is Mike, and today I want to talk to you about how prototypes change. And we've recently saw this Arcee, a Sunstreaker, and assuming that it's going to be part of the Missing Link line, there's been a lot of people that, well, they say the same thing that I kind of feel that I would like to see this Arcee look a little bit better than this, but even if they released it exactly like this, I would still buy it. But really interesting concept here. Today I want to get into talking about how prototypes change. These figures aren't carved in stone, they're still working on them, and from the very beginning there were prototypes in the beginning of Star Wars, and there was prototypes far before that, and I'm going to go over a few of these prototypes, how they've changed over the years. We'll talk about a little bit about the Transformers coming up. Fridays, I usually talk about Masterpiece Transformers, and with Takara kind of doing some side move with their MP line, I feel like Missing Link's going to be their main focus down the road. I hope, in a way, that it is, because let the third parties do what the third parties do. But I kind of feel like Missing Link is very similar to the Master of the Universe and the He-Man Origins line, where you get the vintage figure with updated articulation, and it looks a lot better. The big difference, though, is that the Missing Link stuff is very expensive. It's like $100 for a figure, and then you get the small mini bots for about $40. But with these, they started out at $15. I kind of feel like Masters of the Universe, though, the Origins line is fizzled, and you don't even find them at Walmarts anymore. I think the interest is sort of dropping on them just a bit, but Mattel's trying to keep it going as long as they can. Still, the similarities between this and Missing Link still there. So we get into this Arcee. First of all, I want to say that it looks true to form, more or less true to the prototype we've seen in the past. But looking at this, it is still just a mock-up. It's not even transformable. There's still a lot of work to be done. This is just the very beginnings. I think a lot of people were put off by the really thick thunder thighs they put on her. And if you look at the original prototype images, which I'm not even 100% sure about those original prototypes and where they first started, the origins of them. But looking at it, it's what Takara is showing here is already altered from the original prototype. And I would think that if they're going to try to nail the original prototype, then they would probably thin those thighs out a bit, try to make it look a little closer to that. Will be interesting to see what the outcome is of this, but I'm really excited for it. Even if it looks exactly as Takara has already shown it, but of course the engineering's there and that it's actually a product and it's done, it's ready to go, I'd still buy it simply because of the fact I'm intrigued by this, but I would still like it to look a little bit better than where it is right now, and I'm pretty sure it will. They're also working on a Sunstreaker, which obviously is going to have more articulation. It's going to be more improved from the original vintage one. I think this looks great, and I think it's going in the right direction. Some people don't like the idea of making a Sunstreaker. I kind of do. I was wondering how long it would take to get to the Carbots, and with this, it's kind of a step in the right direction for doing all of the Carbots. And reality is, it would be nice to see Wheeljack and Jazz and the Dotson brothers, Prowl and all them, to get all of those without the bars between their feet and all of that. But still, looking at this side by side, I think personally the reason they're going this route with Sunstreaker first is because that's actually a real hard figure to get on the secondary market. So number one, vintage collectors could just jump on this probably for around the same price as getting a good vintage one. So that's a replacement item. But you're getting an upgraded replacement item. So that'll work too. I also kind of feel like they're further along with this. So this would come out before the Arcee did. But still, all this is just mock-ups, and they're still just showing what they're planning to do in the future. I also kind of feel like this is trying to get fan reaction from it. So I'm excited for both projects. I'm there. There's still going to be a lot of differences from where it is now to where it will be when it's released. Now, I do have a few more things to say about the Arcee, which I'll show after this, but looking at how prototypes are altered and changed, and they're never exactly the same. The prototypes are beginning stages. They work out bugs, they fix things. One of the things I want to say before I talk about this Unicron here is that I don't see a lot of prototype transformers. It's not something you see a ton of because of the fact, and my belief is that because they imported the majority of the toy line over here from Diaclone, and the Cassette Man came over here, so that all of those different lines that were just adopted and put into the cartoon show, the prototypes really are prototypes of Diaclone and prototypes of all those other ones. And when you see that, that's my belief why you just don't see a huge amount of Transformer prototypes from the G1 era, because they already were done. They just had another production run in a different color and called it a day, which was an easy way to bring a toy line over. Now, when you get to this Unicron, this is in the era where we were seeing new product getting made, specifically for the movie, specifically for going forward with the Transformers line, and many do argue a decrease in quality during that time frame, and they don't like the designs of all of those. All those designs have grown on me, I have to admit. But this Unicron here was really weird and wacky. They say that this was an improved version. I'm not sure if this is a picture of a custom or if this is really what they were planning on doing with Unicron. Not sure at all. But still, interesting ideas and concepts of how they would work through this. I wouldn't want to see Unicron with just solid arms. I would like to see some articulation in there. And I think this could be a missing link figure. The original prototype Unicron. So Proto Man over there at the Slag Podcast did put together what a transformation would look like. That's really cool. I don't know how he accomplished it, but he did. This is what a transformation would look like on the Unicron from the planet mode to the bot mode. And this is interesting. I'd buy it if it was exactly like this, but I would prefer an update. Like, would we have a few points of articulation in the arms? Would we be able to make it look just a little bit better in the bot mode? Would we have the articulation in the legs? And just how would it work? I would like some improvements to it, but somebody made one of these. His name is Brian Flynn, and he's with Super 7. Now, I do have this figure. I have the second version that comes in a box, so you don't have to rip it off the card back, and I think the box idea was a much smarter idea. Still cool, but 5 points of articulation, I believe. I believe this is the reaction. We're not gonna add any articulation to it. But still, it's cool. This is the only way I know that you could get one at retail, other than buying someone's custom that they made. Now, getting into the long history of prototypes changing, back in they're saying 1976, as early as 76, but my understanding was it was actually 77. But whatever. They made mock-ups of what Star Wars figures would look like, and they used Adventure People toy line, is my understanding of what happened there, and they did some putty on them and paint job, and just kind of made them based off existing toys that they bought at the store, and then they remold them and make them look like this. But see, there was a big huge jump from what they did in a prototype and showed off and actually sold to what we actually got, which I like what we got better than those prototypes by a mile. I kind of feel like we might see a little bit of that with this Arcee. Just for fun, you could talk about this with every toy line, but for whatever reason this sticks out in my head. The Metlar looks so much different than the prototype, what actually came. All of these look a little bit different. Metlar's the most different when it comes to the Humanoids toy line. I'm sure you guys could tell me about a bunch of other toy lines. I also want to show the Redwood here. The number 20's next to it. This is in a catalog, and as you can see, looks way different than the final product, and I like the final product. I actually had this Redwood, and for all these years didn't know what it was till I actually picked up the Inhumanoids toy line. And back to this. Super 7's already sort of done this. They've made an Arcee with the prototype colors, but they really did put their Arcee on a modernized cartoon version of Arcee, and it's not really the prototype, so you're not really getting it. So I'm still really excited about possibility of getting a prototype Arcee made by Takara in the Missing Link. I just hope it looks good. I just hope they make some improvements, make her look a little bit better, especially in the bot mode. I think the car mode looks fantastic, but I would take a little bit of compromise in the alt mode to make the bot mode look better. Now, I know Fridays are usually about Masterpiece, and this is more of a Legends thing, but there are some more Super 7 reaction things coming, and I know that people didn't, not everybody liked what they were doing with the G.I. Joe, that flying vehicle for Cobra, but they're making an Arc playset, and nothing about it that we truly know other than the title here, and we don't know how big it is and how it's going to look, but I kind of envision that flying fortress that they made for G.I. Joe, or that prototype, kind of possibly being used for this. Is that a possibility? I don't know. They're making an Arc. Now, I know we got a transforming Arc. This will probably be non-transforming. It's sold as a playset. It's something interesting, but it's more for Legends. Think about this. Anything in the reaction line, any playset, could go for your Legends collection, or if you're a Masterpiece collector and you just want to have it in the background or just on another shelf, that'll work too. A Masterpiece Arc is unattainable at this point. So I'm really excited about the Missing Link line. I'm excited about the possibilities, the future, what they could do. And in all honesty, I've been motivated to digging out parts and completing more of my vintage figures. I know I've got the parts, and so I can at least complete half the vintage toy line, if not 3/4 of it, with the parts that I have and the figures that I've got. But mostly I want to do that so I have some better comparisons videos. But what do you guys think about this whole progression of prototype to finished product? Do you think that the Arcee that we get is going to look different than this prototype? Would you be happy if it did look like this prototype? And with that, are you going to be going all in on the Missing Link? Are you going to pick and choose? Have you abandoned everything G1 and just go with modern representations because they do look so much more improved? Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe, and Titanium Hanger out.